We're live. I'm gonna get it going on Instagram, and then we'll officially start the show here as soon as I can get this thing to click over.
Hey, did Clark book y'all's Disney trips?
Nope.
No, my buddy Patrick, his wife is a travel agent for Disney, so she booked ours.
Man, I missed you guys, especially you, Marv. It's been a minute.
It has been a minute.
Let's get into it in just a second.
Sunbelt Syndicate.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome into another edition of the Sunbelt Syndicate. And look at this. We've got the band all back together, as Seth said earlier. Right, man?
The crew is back.
Happy to be back.
Who's back?
All is
Hanging
well.
on by a thread over there, right, Seth?
Yeah, we're here, buddy. We are here.
He's powering through, folks. He's bad. Do you officially have the flu like you know it, or you just feel like that's what it is?
I just feel like it. It's just we're powering through tonight, buddy. We're here.
Nice. Marv's coming back from his sun-soaked vacation down there in Orlando, Florida.
Yep, had to go give my hard-earned money to the mouse.
Did you guys drive or did you fly?
No, we flew.
Nice.
Yeah, you guys.
Shout out to the. Sorry, Mark. Go ahead.
No, so Dominic just got back too. We were pretty much on y'all's coattails. You came back on what, Saturday?
We came back Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, we went down Monday morning.
Yeah.
Yep.
Shout out to anybody who doesn't know Dom. Well, Marv too, not too far behind, but Dom just celebrated his 50th birthday this past week. So happy birthday, Dom.
Don't put me there yet. Although, I do wake up now and I'm like, I don't feel like doing that. I don't feel like doing that. I don't feel like doing that. So yeah, I'm there. I'm there in the age group bracket.
Have you hit 40 yet?
Me?
Yeah.
No, that's next year's.
Neither one of you guys can say anything. I'm the old man of the group.
You're the oldest? I thought I was the oldest.
No, I'm 41.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I'm the guy that gets out of bed and everything hurts.
Well, there you go. I'm trying to catch up to you, man.
Never,
We've hit conference play.
Man, what a I know for us selfishly it's really nice because instead of tracking 14 series, we have to track 7 series. But man, we always wait for this, right? This is when we kind of find out who's who. You kind of try to get a feel for the teams as they go through their non-conference slate. Obviously, this still got midweek games, but interesting week to get things started. There's a couple surprises in there.
A few surprises for sure.
Yeah, your boys
in Boone starting off the year with a sweep.
Woo! Did not see that coming.
Not at all.
No, I would have put that up for us to have one of the picks for competition aspect, but I was like, I could see a sweep for Texas State. I could see App getting 1, maybe 2, but yeah, pretty surprising. Yeah. I know that's what were we saying before we went live? I think we've all read that it's the first time they've ever beaten them in a series.
Yeah, that's
I believe so.
And then obviously that would also mean that that's the first time they've ever swept them too. So
yeah,
interesting aspect. It looked like that last one today was a little bit windy and definitely a little bit of rain there starting up. Looked like from the fans.
It's been ugly all. So we'll get into that in a little while. But yeah, definitely been a spring weekend here / a little bit of winter weather today. Just cold, rainy, a little miserable at times, and then a little sunny at times too. So
welcome to
you got
March in the high country. Nothing better than March in the high country. You can literally have summer on Friday and then snow on Saturday.
Yep. I was just gonna say you got an all 4 weekends weekend.
Yeah.
Oh man. Well, yeah. I mean, we've got a lot of stuff to talk about on the show graphic. We can see that we've got the fight at the Teague that was. I've seen someone say it was a brawl. I don't know if I'd say it was enough people involved for it to be a brawl. Looked like one kind of instigator. We'll talk about that a little bit more. But again, some sweeps to talk about and some non-sweeps actually that kind of came into a factor. I know one of the persons that's following the page, Ed, who's a Southern Miss fan, wanted our thoughts and opinions on the ODU USM series, and we had pretty much all said a sweep. I think was Seth. Did you say you thought ODU could take one, or was that Marv? Who said
I think so. Yeah, okay. I did say that. How did that end up?
2-1.
ODU took that last one. So
yeah,
I'll take that.
Well, we'll talk about that. Yeah, we'll save that. But yeah, this is the graphic we chose to go with since there's so much stuff off the field and on the field, though, in the Troy, Louisiana series, which has been kind of gaining some steam across multiple sports. But we'll touch on that after we first rip ourselves apart for these awful picks this past week. I guess, look, bottom line is we all thought Georgia Southern could take at least one. I guess my thought process behind that, because I did that show with those guys, was they didn't have a midweek. They were rested going up to Conway. I thought they'd jump on that first game on Friday. Just didn't happen. Coastal ends up sweeping that one, number 24. So they'll certainly still be ranked at least 24th, if not jump up a little bit. I guess it depends on how much happens above them and what people think of Georgia Southern. But ultimately surprised, though, I guess, that Coastal swept guys.
Not really. I mean,
No.
I thought Southern could have got one. That's why I picked it that way. But, Coastal's still really good at baseball.
Yeah, definitely. I guess, Seth,
I think I think we, going into conference, we're always saying it's going to be a couple weeks until we find out who some teams really are. And I think this last week or two into this week, I think we finally, when we start, I think we missed last week with power rankings, but I think we can start to solidify at least that top half right now. But yeah, I was a little bit surprised. Like Marv said, I could have seen Georgia Southern taking at least one, but Coastal's still Coastal and a very good baseball team. So no shocker there.
Yeah. I was shocked in the last one, or the next one, I guess I should say, because we still have that last one to talk about, which we all got right. So I guess that one's the shining star of the week. But all of us favored South Alabama over Georgia State. And we were wrong in that one.
How did that one go?
Georgia State took that one 3-0.
3-0, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Panthers are making some noise, especially after that huge midweek last week for South Alabama. It was Ole Miss, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Going in hot, and Georgia State might be that little sleeper team this year. We don't start talking about for a little while, but that's a good little ball team right there in Atlanta.
Yeah. I'm with you, Seth. I mean, I thought coming off that win, the South Alabama was going to, carry some momentum over. And I guess I'm just undervaluing Georgia State, or was until this weekend. But I mean, you look at it, 15-6, like they're pretty good. And to get a conference sweep, we know sweeps are hard in this conference. And we had 3 of them this weekend. But yeah, that one does surprise me a little bit.
Yeah, I think the thing about it is you look at the record, like you said, Marv, 15-6, great. But then when you look at it closer, you're like, not the best quality team. So how much do we think they are really all that great or up at the top? Well, like you said, you start doing these types of things, everyone's going to look at that a lot more seriously and a lot closer and say, hey, it really doesn't matter who they've played. They've done what was expected or what they wanted to do each time as much as possible so far. So, yeah, bus lot boys stepping it up and making Georgia State.
I think that speaks volumes on the conference as well as a whole. At least that top 4 or 5. We were riding pretty high on South Alabama after last week, and then obviously, like you said, none of us would have bet $1 million, $1 billion that they would have got swept going into the weekend, and it just kind of shows, as well as from top to 7 or 8. I mean, it's minus probably Southern Miss and Troy and Coastal. It's any given weekend. I mean, are we surprised that it was a sweep? Yeah. I mean, but is it, it's not the end of the world. I mean, we could have easily seen it happen, but I think that speaks volumes on the conference.
Yeah. Artie's here.
Hey, Artie.
I'm surprised he showed up after this weekend's result, but we love him all the same, and I'm sure he has some thoughts on what he saw there in Boone that he can share with us as we talk through that matchup a little bit. But before we get to that one or any of the further ones, we'll touch on some of the midweeks that we saw happen as well. Number 21 Troy gets the best of Louisiana 2-1. We all predicted that one correctly. I was a little concerned. I thought Troy was going to end up sweeping, and then none of us would get any picks right this week. But we salvaged one.
That last game was a just offensive slugfest. Was the final what 18-14 or something like that?
It was 18-14. It was pretty much a football game out there again. So
I mean, listen, I consider that a rivalry. You know, those two have been powerhouses in the conference for a long time. I wouldn't have seen either team getting a sweep if Cajuns would have been 21 and Troy would have been, had the Cajuns record. I still wouldn't have thought that would have been a sweep. Just two really traditional powerhouses going at it. You got to think somebody's going to take one.
Yeah. That was my thought there. I mean, now if the Cajuns were on the road, maybe I would have said Troy could have swept and it wouldn't have been a surprise to me, but at home at the Teague, you think that's at least enough to take one, which is exactly what they did on the Sunday matinee to finish that one up. Ben James saying, what's up to everybody currently watching the women's selection show? As we know, Arkansas State's women's teams made it to the NCAA tournament for the first time in 50 years of women's sports at Arkansas State, I think is what he had said. So
nice.
Good for them.
Yeah. Big time news for them there. We'll see who they match up with against. Jason Hutchins has commented over here on Instagram. How about them apps taking down a Texas State team? Broom's working hard. And that's going to go right into our next stop here as we say best in class. Again, this is something that I control. So these guys can tell us how they feel if it's any differently. Arkansas State beats Marshall 2-1 in their series. But again, a little bit of looking at the whole picture as well as recent success. I didn't know if as a cumulative thing, I would necessarily move them up from single to double. Anybody else thinking this past weekend's results, especially specifically today, really changed their thought process? Or are you still leaving Arkansas State down there at the bottom for now?
I would have moved them to AA.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, listen, Marshall was riding like an 8-game win streak coming into that. And so, yeah, I would have moved them to AA. But there's always another game.
How do you – and here we go again. We do this weekly. But how do you have a team that just got swept in AAA if we're going week by week?
I'd agree with that.
True. Well, and like I said, I try and do some big picture, some recent. So
we're not changing the rules as we go here, boss man.
No. That's what I said from the very start.
Week to week. I think you jumped the app a little bit too much on that one, my opinion. I mean, let's not blow it just yet, but I would apps it interchangeable, but Georgia Southern just got swept. So if we're going week to week, I don't think that's a win.
Yeah, and I don't think I would have the Raging Cajuns at AAA. I'd move them to AA, and heck, the way that Georgia State's playing, might have them in the show.
Oh well, that was one I did struggle with. Have they done kind of enough to be all the way up there? Now, the reason that the Cajuns yeah, go ahead, Seth.
Maybe the co-host should be included in this conversation before we go public with this information.
Your input's not needed, Seth. Neither is mine.
Oh no,
that's why he's
needed,
3-8 on picks.
I feel like I send you guys the power ranking stuff, so then this is similar in regards to that. But maybe we'll just focus on one, like maybe just put this out instead of the power rankings because it's kind of a double thing to do.
It's great. It looks awesome, buddy. You've done fantastic.
I think this might get debated more than the power rankings, though.
By me, yeah, for sure, absolutely.
This one will be ripped apart, I'm sure. But yeah, so what I did was saying that, they got swept or beat, as the Cajuns' case, but both of those were against ranked teams currently in the conference and teams that are, or had been doing very well up until they ran into them. So I didn't hinder their positioning too much after playing a good team. I felt like if I looked at it and said, oh, they would have played ULM this week, they probably would have won, maybe even swept. So it's like, would I have moved them in that case? Like, no, I probably wouldn't move them up if they'd have done something like that. So to lose to a team that I thought that they would lose to, I didn't move them down necessarily, I guess, is what my thought process was. But that's, again, why we do it, so we can hear yours.
They're 9-12 on the season. They're 9-12.
They're what?
They're 9-12 on the season.
Who's that one specifically?
Louisiana.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point.
1-2 in conference as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do we need to keep going here?
Yeah. Next page, please.
Yeah. This one needed some work. Is there anyone that's like really far off, or you have anybody jumping 2 classifications?
I think App could still be AA.
Yeah, I mean, if we're gonna go weekly, I'd keep them in AAA because they're a little hot right now. They're 1-4 in a row. They've got
they did win their midweek last week. Yeah, you're right.
And they got Charlotte coming up, which is a winnable midweek as well. And then Georgia Southern this upcoming week. That's kind of going to be the battle for double and AAA, in my opinion.
The only one I really don't agree with is Georgia Southern.
Yeah, I don't see anyone being more than 2 classifications off. Like, I don't think you got anybody in AAA that belongs in single, nobody in double that's in the show. So I think everyone's within 1 class where they should be.
Gotcha. Okay.
And ULM could probably be AA because they sent us some gear too. So.
Oh yeah, this nice Warhawks rope hat right here. Is that what you're talking about right there?
Yeah.
Got to get you guys to wear the hat on the show at some point here too.
They would have won the series.
Yeah, there you go. All right, so just touching on some of the midweek stuff, just to see if there was any surprises. Not the greatest of midweeks for the conference as a whole, but not completely terrible.
I was a little surprised about the score of the Coastal Wake game.
Yeah, well, and it was so close for quite a bit of time before it got out of hand in Wake's favor too. Which that was a night that, gosh, what were we doing that night? Was it? It may have been a basketball show night.
It was.
Oh no, we went Tuesday night, right, Seth?
We did.
Are you
doing a live basketball show for the rest of the year, or are you done?
We're gonna have a live basketball show for you guys tomorrow, featuring myself, Zach, and the Troy boys, since Troy's going to be going up against Kentucky, as we know now. So that one is one you won't want to miss. Joe's already been telling me, you do realize it's St. Patrick's Day, right? So I'm not coming into this thing clean and sober. So we're probably going to have a little fun tomorrow night.
Awesome.
So he's going to be trying to wear some green. But speaking of green teams, App beat Charlotte already this past week. And you said, Marv, they got him again this week. Is that one down in Charlotte this go around?
Yeah, that's the home and home. So, yeah, they have them in Charlotte.
Gosh, that'll be tough. I mean, we've seen JMU go down there and get rolled by the 49ers. So we'll see if App can go down there and have some more success and keep those bats hot going into that one. Jacksonville State, that one surprised the hell out of me. Not only did they beat Troy, they hammered them 11-1. Now that, again, that's on the road. Troy was on the road for that one, but I mean,
that's shocking. Regardless, that's shocking.
Yeah, and then hey, South Al. I mean, they didn't just beat Ole Miss; they beat them pretty good.
Yeah, they pretty much did the opposite of the Troy effect, where you're like, not only am I surprised you won, but you won easily. They just kept hitting bombs out into the outfield, man. It was very impressive. Texas State, I think this, if I remember correctly, is the second time they matched up with TCU this year. Somebody played TCU earlier, so
somebody played a series. Southern Miss played a series, right, with Texas.
Maybe that's what it was.
Hey, random question. RPI, do they consider, is it a win-loss, or do they consider the score as well? I wonder.
That's a really good question.
That is. I would assume the score has to go into something.
You would think a 14-5 win over a number 13 ranked team would go a long way.
Yeah.
The official RPI starts tomorrow, if I'm not mistaken.
Ooh, that'll be interesting. Yeah, that'll be nice to see some of these numbers come out. We can start referring to some of that aspect. One underrated win, I think, is the one at the bottom of this graphic here. University of Texas, Rio Grande Valley.
Funny you say that, Dom. So I just looked up live RPI, and this is not the official one they're going to go off of, but Rio Grande Valley has the number 3 RPI in the country right now, according to this obscure website that I'm looking at on my phone.
Yeah, they have a very good overall record, and one of the teams they beat was Dallas Baptist, so they're getting a high win mark on that Dallas Baptist victory, because, and this is where I think the score comes into
14-3.
They're 14-3. They beat Dallas Baptist. Marv, if you have their record in front of you, 15-5, I believe.
It doesn't give me the score to that game. It's just 14-3 overall. Number 17 strength of schedule. So yeah, number 3 RPI right now.
Yeah, they were pretty good coming in. So that 22 ranking there against Southern Miss was on the line, because had they lost that's probably switching spots essentially, right? I mean, that team probably deserves a ranking beside their name if they win over Southern Miss on the road, especially there as well. Marshall,
hey, Marv,
yeah,
you got your phone in front of you?
Yeah.
See who? This is just random, but that's a hell of a way to go for Central Michigan to go to Marshall for a midweek. See where Central Michigan played this weekend and see if that was relatively. That is a long way for a midweek.
Yeah, but would it have made sense for them to travel somewhere on a Tuesday or a Wednesday and then stay?
That's what I'm saying. I was just wondering where they were played.
They did back-to-back, just so you guys know that on Wednesdays they did play twice instead of just one-off game. So
right.
That's a long way to go for a.
Just to answer your question, though, really quickly, Seth, they were at let me find it.
Well, Artie Cat is saying while you're looking at this.
They're at Ohio.
Oh, so that makes sense.
Yeah, it's not too far.
Okay. Sorry.
No, you're good. Artie Cat's been saying, I've been telling y'all, UTRGV. I have to say it slowly, otherwise I'm going to jumble the hell out of that. Back to the Sun Belt. This is a team who was previously in the Sun Belt. The problem I have with it is, don't believe they have a football team at all. If they do, they're definitely not Division I, at least at this point. I mean, if it helps keep Texas State in there and give them, a travel partner or a rivalry or something, I'm not totally against it. They definitely have a good baseball team. I'm not sure about their basketball, but I think they've been decent in basketball in the past.
How much longer are we hanging on to Texas State, though?
Yeah, I think they may be gone.
It's a good question.
But we'll see. We'll see.
Hey, if Texas State leaves, can we still keep Artie?
Yeah, we'll trade somebody else for Artie. We'll keep Artie. We'll just assign him a team. I'm sure he's be fine with that. Artie Cat, it says this May 20th is OIF start date 22 years ago. I think I just looked that up to double check what that is. Operation Iraqi Freedom.
No.
Wow.
So yeah, just to keep that in mind. That's
talking about birthdays a little while ago. That makes me feel even older.
Yeah, I know, right? I remember being at App when they declared that they had captured, and killed Osama bin Laden, and I think I was watching a movie with my now wife, and we hear just this incredible commotion, and it was like a parade of vehicles with honking horns and people screaming and stuff. We're like, what is going on? That's before everybody started texting each other so much, with the social media aspect, and quickly found out what was going on. But yeah, that's a very vivid memory in my mind that is attached to that. So yeah, something to keep in mind for everybody who's served, as Artie Cat has done, and we thank him for that, of course, each and every time. But Dominic's jumping on. What's up, fellas? And Artie Cat's also saying that they are a brand new D1 football program, so they are up there. So could be interesting. The Artie Cat Artie needs to tell us their nickname. I forget it. It's so difficult. I think it's a Spanish term. And so the spelling would be butchered by me, but varicose or something. I don't know. We'll have to see if he can get us that. Ben Stan, A-State pitcher, had his second complete game of the season, so definitely one on the note. We didn't give out the awards just yet. I think it was a little too much crunching to get everything else done, so the awards will come out.
I just want to say something. Piggybacking off what Ben just said, we really people like Ben and Artie, people on the show that contribute, like we totally encourage that. This is not just us three up here. This is everybody's show. So we appreciate it helps the world go around. We'll make sure to cut you in some of those dollars when they start flowing.
Yeah, those big NIL checks that we're getting. The Vaqueros, cowboy is what it's translated to. I knew when I'd seen their name, I was like, I know they have a crazy nickname that like I can't just think of off the top of my head. I got to figure it out. And what's funny is their sport website like doesn't show it anywhere. You know, you think it'd be like UTRGV, home of the Vaqueros, or whatever. It's just they don't plaster it all over. It's just the jumbled letters that they post everywhere. So it's kind of hard. All right, so I think we've kind of rounded up Tuesday's action, right? I mean, nothing else real crazy there. Nothing too. It's nice to see Arkansas State get a win over Memphis. As a close regional team that they do not like to lose to in anything. So that was nice. Neither team ranked or anything. JMU stuck with Virginia Tech pretty good, only losing by 1 run. But I'm not sure exactly how good Virginia Tech is on the season as a whole just yet. And before we get into Wednesday's score, since we have such a short slate to talk about for Wednesday, Ben wants us to remind him who our favorite MLB teams are. So Marv, Phillies?
Phillies.
Montreal Expos. Atlanta Braves.
Well, you got the same color scheme there, right? It's not too far off.
How about you, Don?
I don't really have one. Is that bad? I don't honestly watch a lot of Major League Baseball. I'm kind of the same with NBA. Like, I don't care about the pros as much. I want like guys that played in the Sun Belt to do good, obviously. I'll definitely take in a live game, but watching on TV, like the NBA and the MLB doesn't translate as well to me. So I'm more of a college basketball and college baseball guy than I am Major League. If I had to pick one just because of the regionality and not being a Braves fan, because like everybody around here is Braves fans, it's the three of us know. I guess I'd pick like the Nationals just to have somebody different who's still kind of regionally based for us.
I like Ben's pick. Cardinals remind me a lot of like the Packers. Like if you have your favorite team and then there's teams that you hear about in the news and like you hear it's almost like they're clean as a whistle. Like you don't hear problems out of that team. It's all just business. They go about their business, they win. And reminds me of the Packers. Like just do it the right way. Tradition, it's hard not to pull for teams like that. So yeah, good pick with the Cardinals for sure.
Yeah. And Dom says, as long as you don't pick the Yankees. Yeah, I am a Yankee hater. I'll tell you that part. I never really liked that whole aspect of things. So they got some good players and some people that I don't hate. But as far as just like the evil empire, right? Artie actually says there's 2 leagues. So you need 2 teams. He's got the White Sox and the Diamondbacks. Man, that White Sox one is rough, right? They haven't been good in forever.
Who, the White Sox?
Yeah.
Whew, South Side, baby. So growing up, and I'm sure you guys were the same, we got TBS, so you got the Braves, and you got WGN, which was the Cubs. But they'd also throw some White Sox games on there, and I was a big Frank Thomas fan back in the day. The big
hurt,
yeah. But yes, the White Sox have not been good in a very, very, very long time.
Yeah.
Hey, I guess we're gonna go AL. I'll go. I believe the Mariners are AL. We'll go due to our boy Austin St. Laurent in their system. We'll go Mariners.
Nice.
I go Orioles.
Orioles. That's not a bad pick.
Yeah. Yeah, I never hated the Orioles. I was a Cal Ripken fan growing up. Like that was a guy I looked up to as far as like wanting to be a baseball player and everything, of course.
Have you heard the story about this? It's so the streak that he had.
Yeah.
The legend has it that his wife was messing around on him.
Oh, really?
And the day he found out, like he was like, "I'm not playing." So then all of a sudden, the lights there was a light problem at Camden Yards, and they canceled the game for the night.
Huh.
Yeah,
I've not heard that story, but I will definitely Google search that.
And whoever the guy is that she cheated on him with it's like a popular person. I forgot who it was, but it's some crazy. One of my best friends is a big Orioles fan, so it's funny.
Interesting. I did not know that either. Dominic's saying
it's funny. It's interesting.
Well, yeah. Dominic's saying he's pretty much with you, Seth. I think his favorite team is Braves, and whoever's playing the Yankees.
Yeah,
I can go for that.
Yeah. Already saying it's hard to believe Dodger Stadium is now the third oldest after Fenway and Wrigley. Yeah, I mean, that's the cool part. That's the part I do like about the MLB. Obviously, is such old historic venues that you want to go. Like, it doesn't matter which day or who they're playing. Like, if I ever had the chance to go to any of those three, Dodger Stadium, Fenway, or Wrigley, I'm going to do it when I'm in those cities. I've not been into any of those cities in any recent time period, if ever. But yeah, I mean, that's something I'm doing for sure. $15
Fenway,
ticket,
right?
I've been to Fenway and to Wrigley.
Nice.
Yeah, they're old, like Fenway and Fenway especially like is dated, right? Like the seats are small, they're wood, they're uncomfortable, but just like the aura that you feel from the stadium is phenomenal. And Wrigley's Wrigley, man. It's great. Going back to the Cardinals, Busch Stadium is phenomenal as well. And just now that we're talking Major League Baseball, my favorite, most underrated ballpark in the country, PNC Park, where the Pirates play. It's probably my favorite stadium to take a game in live. Underrated, in my opinion.
I've heard that from Pittsburgh before. I've actually heard the National Stadium is, like, sightline wise, is phenomenal. I don't know enough about that to speak further. I've just been told that when you go, you can see the game from pretty much everywhere, and it's a good seat kind of thing. So
yeah, Brave Stadium's super nice too. It's very similar with sightlines. But we're going to go to a Nationals game this year, so I'll be able to report back on that.
Nice. Chris Bolton saying, love them or hate them. I'm a Braves fan, but I have immense respect for the Dodgers.
I can't get behind teams that pay for championships. Just can't do it.
You know, okay.
Look
a
at
lot
that
of the guys that are low.
Yeah,
I feel like a lot of these teams now that were like the lovable losers, like the Red Sox, have now just become the new version of the Yankees, right? Like, just paying for players. And
I mean, it's part of the game, I guess. But look at Ohtani, Mookie, Freddie. I mean, it's stupid top to bottom. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Already saying, yeah, Pirates are the best comedy act in Pittsburgh. Do they still have Hutchins? Is it McCutcheons?
Yeah, Andrew, I think he signed another 1-year contract to be with them for one more year.
How was somebody not paid that guy like a max deal to go somewhere else?
McCutcheon's old. I think he's 37 or 38 now. He left for 3 or 4 years, made all the money, and then came back.
Okay.
He's kind of like the heart and soul of that team. Obviously, they got Paul Skeens now who sells the tickets. He's if he stays healthy, he's going to be just phenomenal. But yeah, that team's just overall not very good. It's another reason why I like going to that ballpark is you can get a hell of a seat for very little money.
Yeah, that's a good point. Dodgers and Cubs start their regular season Tuesday morning in the Tokyo Dome.
Yeah,
well, that one I'll be tuning into. That's for sure. That'd be cool. Russ jumping in saying, if you can't get behind teams that buy championships, you would love my Reds. So
I love the Reds, man. They got who is it they got from Tennessee? Who's the kid that transferred from Tennessee, went to Wake? Help me out here, Russ. He just played in the Natty last year.
I remember there being a kid who did that transfer wise. I can't remember his name for the life of me right now, so I'm not going to be able to.
He's probably not in the show just yet.
He will be this year. Like, it's
I have but while you're looking that up, I have
Rhett Lauder, but I don't think it was Rhett Lauder.
Okay, I have a cousin who's a big Reds fan. Like, will not let go of those guys. So we'll have to see if they can turn it around. And
Chase Burns, that's who it was.
Chase Burns. Okay, I'd have never
he
come
came
up with
from
that.
Wake, went to Tennessee. That's what it was.
Gotcha. Dodgers owners have spent money even in the Brooklyn. Yeah.
Yeah. Back to the college baseball.
Yeah. Well, we'll go there. Just get Artie's comments here. Them and the Giants moved west over stadium issues and to keep the rivalry. Yeah, it is crazy when you go back and look at like how many teams moved around, right? Even if they have like different names or the same name, but it was the Brooklyn Braves for some period of time, right? Like, it's kind of crazy to think about that.
I think it was
to me
Brooklyn
anyway.
Too.
Yeah, that's a good point. All right, so we'll get back into the college baseball aspect. So Marshall was on a rampage, a stampede, if you will, dad joke, number one of the night. But Chippewas finally ended that, winning by 1 run, 12-11 on Wednesday. Maybe a sign of things to come, but I wouldn't have thought that a 1-run loss would have led to what happened this weekend. We'll get into that. Georgia State plays a really good team in South Carolina, not a ranked team though, but they go down 7-1. And the Cajuns, look at this. This is some future thought that we should have put more into. Maybe McNeese State takes down the Cajuns at home at the Teague 4-2 on Wednesday before this weekend's matchups started up. So, besides the Georgia State one, maybe a little foreshadowing that we should have put a little bit more weight into. I don't know. I don't know. I don't like to put too much weight in the midweek sometimes when it's a one-off and you have a specific matchup that maybe you're saving a guy for putting a little bit more into on the weekend, but seems like it.
You switching up on us here? Were you doing individual days now?
Well, I just tried to change it up a little bit because, like I said, if I did graphics where the teams were going head to head, it's just going to be like 2 slides or 3 slides, right? Like, because it was so much. So I was like, yeah, this is kind of good. Look, we can kind of go day by day instead of just the overall thing.
It. I think Marv texts us Friday afternoon. That Marshall game ended early. I don't think any of us expected that one at all.
No, I mean, with Bryce pitching for the Herd on Friday nights, you would think that those games are going to be close. I looked at the stats, man. He gave up 9 in 5 innings. Just got hit pretty good. That one definitely surprised me. And then, 10-run rule in Texas State on Friday. It was
fellas,
didn't see that one coming.
I went to that game Friday. It was a beautiful afternoon. We got through 2.5 hours. We had finished 5 innings.
Whew.
I mean, it was absolutely just a slugfest.
What was it?
Just
Texas,
just
hitting the ball, State changing.
Just taking the runs when they were there, and aggressive base running. Hitting balls and gaps. I mean, there's one ball they hit in right field. I think still hadn't landed yet. Along with the Wake Forest game last year, there's a ball that Wake hit that still hasn't landed. But Ab just brought the bats and just continued. They continued that all weekend. So I don't think Ab's ever started 3-0 in conference play that I remember, at least. So good for them.
Yeah. Those two definitely, to me, are the biggest surprises of Friday. Not necessarily the fact that either of those teams won, but the way that they both won, right? Run ruling. That's I would have not predicted that for either team, to be totally honest with you.
And you got to remember, like Marv said with Marshall, with Bryce pitching Friday night, these scores are Friday. You're going after number 1 guys. So to put up 15 on a Friday night guy, I mean, obviously it wasn't all 15, but to rattle a Friday night guy like that and just continue through the weekend, I mean, that speaks volumes. And Georgia State getting off to a hot start. Looks like South Alabama didn't have much, not much for their arms all weekend, but not very shocking there. And Troy took care of business, and Southern Miss, rightfully so, took care of business on Friday night.
Yeah, I would say that the ending for the Troy-Louisiana game is probably what led to what we used for the graphic to start this thing off with that fight on Saturday night. So the ending of the Troy-Louisiana game on Friday, Louisiana, I can't remember if they had the bases loaded, but they had a play at second base after a strikeout from Cajun batter. I'm sorry. Or yeah, that was it, right? Cajun batter strikes out. Troy throws to second to get that guy out. But the batter, after the swing, makes his way towards the plate, right? I think he may even have stepped completely on the plate, but he wasn't. I don't know the wording of the rule. I wanted to kind of look that up to be.
Was it interference on the throw?
It was interference on the throw. That's the last out of the game. That's how the game ended. Now, had that not happened, it doesn't mean Louisiana takes the lead. It just would have put them in a better position to tie the game.
Yeah,
right. And then
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's hard to say that they would have come back and won because of that call not being made. However, I'll side with Cajun fans in one aspect that I don't think it looked like the kid did anything to purposely or intently get in front of the pitch. But I have never played baseball at this level. I mean, I haven't played baseball since I was probably 10. So I don't know if this is one of those small minor things. And Marv, you can speak to this because you're coaching kids a little bit.
I'll speak on it. Yeah. So if the batter in any way impedes the catcher throwing the ball and there's contact made with the catcher and the batter is at fault. So it typically happens with a right-handed batter and a guy trying to steal third, and your catcher's trying to throw it to third, and the right-handed batter's in the way. But if on a strikeout, if he's walking back to his dugout, they're on the first base side, and he is in the way of the catcher, and the catcher makes contact with him throwing the ball, that is batter interference, and that is an out.
So this one, I would say, was not that I saw. There was no actual contact made, but it definitely looked like he wasn't out of the way completely. But again, that's where, to me, I don't know. It doesn't seem as if, anyway, that there is a rule that states intent or no intent, right? It's just a penalty of sorts if it happens at all. Like,
I know at the youth level, there has to be contact made. So, like, we teach our catchers, if a kid's still in third and there's a right-handed batter, like, if he's in your way, you just run into him or throw the ball at him. Because if the ball hits the batter and it was on throw, then that's by definition interference. We teach them like you have all the right to make that throw. Make your throw. We don't want to throw a ball and hit a kid in the face. That would be terrible. But make your throw, and if you run into him, that's on the batter. He should have got out of the way. I'm not sure. I would assume it's the same at the college level. I mean, obviously rules change, but if he impeded the throw in any way, especially if there's contact made, then that is batter interference, and that's an out.
Okay. So maybe there was a touch that I didn't see. I don't remember them speaking about a touch, but again, like you said, maybe there's also a rule change where it doesn't have to be a touch at that level. It just be an impediment of any sort. And like I said, the guy definitely probably affected, how the ball was released. So I won't argue in that regard. But I mean, I don't think the kid was like sticking the bat out or like, hey, I'm moving in front of you type of move. I think it was swing. I'm out, kind of like maybe slightly careless about like not staying out of the way. I don't know. But anyway, that's kind of how that game ended. So that is very possibly what built up a little anger and frustration and led to some words behind the dugout. And as we mostly know, for those who don't, maybe, that there's a camera pointing right down towards the mound, which will also catch the first, I think it's like 5 or 6 rows. But then behind that, you can clearly see a concession area where this whole fight was caught on camera. This was not down in the concessions where no one saw it. If you were watching the broadcast, you saw it live as it was happening. And obviously it's made its rounds on Twitter as well now. So you can easily find that if you want to look at what we're talking about next. But before we do, Artie Cat is just saying, ouch, I'm blaming the altitude and extreme wind and horrible camera angle. Yeah, that's referring to the Texas State App State start, maybe the whole weekend, though, at that point, I guess, right? Was it windy the whole time up there, Seth?
Windy today. It was pretty nice the rest of the weekend.
Interesting. And we do, before we move on to Saturday's coverage, Ben says A-State versus UConn in the first round of the Women's March Madness. Tough matchup there. Whew.
Congratulations on making your first tournament.
Yeah. If you win that one, though, you may well be on your way to bigger and better things for the A-State women's basketball team. Okay, so we had 2 double headers on Saturday because of thought processes with the weather that was incoming in the coastal Carolina area, as well as Harrisonburg, Virginia, apparently. So they both did double headers to knock those out, complete those series on Saturday before Sunday. Again, Coastal winning 7-2 and then backing that up with an 11-1 victory to take that series 3-0. JMU dropped the first game on Saturday, 9-3, before rebounding in the rubber match to take the win and the series 6-5 in that last one. As we know, Georgia State was going on their way to sweep the Jags. They won 3-0. Troy gets the win again over Louisiana 8-5. That's where we'll have our talking point. But
hey, are we crazy to think Georgia State in the show?
No, man. I said it earlier. I mean, 15-6. I don't think it's crazy.
Yeah, no. I would say not crazy. I would just, man.
I think they need to get swept before Dominic considers them in the show.
That's a possibility. So here's what I'll say about Georgia State: 15-6, 3-0 in the conference. They've got West Georgia for their midweek. Don't know much about West Georgia baseball, but then they have Old Dominion. At Old Dominion, they win that. They win the midweek and go 2 out of
5-1 in conference.
Yeah, easy. Not easy. I mean, it's never easy to win on the road in this conference, but yeah, so, Dom, go ahead and write that down. They win 3 out of 4 this week. They are in the show.
Okay. I'm cool with that. Artie Cat's saying Bobcats hitting so poor they need to cork their metal bats. Oh, man. Yeah, that's good stuff. Yeah, I mean, 8-7, 11 innings on Saturday. Seth, I know you weren't at that one. Was Jason Tennis, did they end up getting there on Saturday?
Yeah, how'd you know that? Did I tell you that?
Yes.
Apparently pregnant could not take more than 8 innings, so they left, or 9 innings, so they left after 9. And
oh, man.
I said, how are you going to sit through 9 innings? And I wasn't going to argue after the response I got. So
yeah, don't argue with the pregnant lady, Seth. I'll teach you that lesson.
That's a good idea.
Said it was a great game, though. It's a resilient ball club. I mean,
yep.
I would have been the first one to write Apple off at the beginning of the year when we saw them struggling against Queens and Gardner-Webb and High Point, and and who knows? I mean, it's still early in conference. It's impressive 3-0. Texas State did knock off A&M, but I don't think A&M's won a game since the opening weekend. Like so we'll fill it out, but I think our Troys, our Southern Misses, our Coastals are our. That's what's gonna kind of anchor this conference, and then we'll see what else fills in around it.
Yeah, I think that's the good question to ask right now. We got 3 pretty solid teams up at the top that I think throughout the season, sure, they're going to lose a couple games where you're like, wait, how did they lose that? But for the most part, I expect them to kind of continue on their way. Our question has got to be, or at least mine for sure, is like, who's that 4th team? I feel like we're going to have a 4th team who's going to be putting pressure on, maybe depending on how they do in the Sun Belt Conference tournament, but somebody's going to be putting pressure on from the outside to also get, a 4th, I think at this point it's too early to tell, but maybe a 5th and 4th team being looked at.
I would have told you it was Marshall before this weekend.
Yeah, it looks like it might be Georgia State.
Could be Georgia State. I mean, if App State continues their run, it could be App State. Honestly, going into this weekend, like I said, probably a little prejudice, but with having the guys from Georgia Southern on earlier in the week, the fact that they were going to be rested coming off of Coastal, who had at least one midweek matchup, I thought, hey, that's going to bode well. If they can get one early on a Friday and then maybe, lose the Saturday game, but then recover on a Sunday and take that series, they could have been looking like a team too.
You're getting swept by Coastal. It's not like you got swept by JMU or
right.
Yeah. I mean, it's not the end of the world, I don't think.
Yeah. No, I don't think so either. Realistic, even when we did the picks, we just had them on. I wasn't going to just pick based off of having some guests on a show. So I did still have them losing to Coastal in the series, but I did have them taking one. And again, I had my reasonings for that. Besides just having them on the show, really thought a week of rest could have been good and get some guys in there and throw some heat and steal first one on a Friday and see what happens in the next 2. So already saying Hank Hill was born in Yankee Stadium. I just want to kill Castro. Oh, man. Daryl saying the Southland may take one from the belt. Yeah, the Southland Conference, I'd say, is kind of as top heavy as the Sun Belt is currently. So I think there's plenty of time for everything to sort itself out more as we go, obviously. But yeah, they have a tough couple. Really, that's where UT RGV is located as far as teams go and where they're playing. So yeah, keep an eye out for the Southland. Looking pretty good as well. I think McNeese is in there. So again, there's a couple teams already beat some of our teams or went head to head with them very well so far.
D1 in football yet?
McNeese is still 1AA football, FCS.
Yes, yeah.
You know, so not D1 program is yet. All right, so this is the Sunday scorecard. I included the series that had already been completed just so that people go, where'd my team go? You know, so it is noted the series that we already talked about and finished up, but we did have we had 2 football games. We had Georgia State versus South Alabama, and 15-14. Georgia State got the 2-point conversion to take that one. And they, again, finished that sweep off, and then the Cajuns win 18-14. Get a little bit of revenge and retribution for whatever scuffle took place. I guess we kind of did skip over that. So let's touch back on that real quick. Seth, you had seen it. Marv, you hadn't. Is that?
I've not seen it. Can we play the clip, or is that like some kind of infringement?
No, I don't think it would be infringement. I don't know if I could put it up and make it look real good on here. But you can find it if you search Teague fight or baseball fight Louisiana or something. You'd be able to see it. Essentially, it just looks like people at a concession stand, and it just kind of looks like one guy just all of a sudden reaches over and punches somebody. There's 2 guys. I don't know if they're connected. Obviously, it's hard to know anything when you're not there and don't know really solid details. But there was 2 guys with obvious Troy gear on who kind of looked like, what's going on? Like, I don't know if it was a friend of theirs who all of a sudden got into this altercation. I don't know if it was someone they didn't know at all. It looked like from the clip I had seen that they were kind of taking their concessions, food and drink, and kind of putting them to the side. Were they going to go help out and it became a bigger fight? Were they just going to, split everybody apart? I don't know. But whoever delivered that first punch, which I think is what I've been hearing is a Troy fan, delivered the first punch. He was getting a couple thrown back at him by more than one Cajun fan. So I don't know what was said. I don't know how serious it was. I don't know if there was charges pressed after all this stuff, but there was enough of a fight caught again on stream and now all over social media as well. So not too great. I'll just touch on the overall aspect since we don't know really, really good details about this. Don't do stupid stuff at ball games, folks. I mean, if you want to talk some trash and have a little fun in the stands, but like, I don't know why. And these were not
you've come a long way.
These are not college kids, right? These are guys that are in their upper 40s and 50s, maybe even. I mean, you can't see perfectly from a vantage point. These are bigger guys, so I just don't know why you feel the need to get into a fist fight at a baseball game. Like, I don't know. But I don't know. What are you guys' thoughts on that? I mean, Marv, you've got at least got a somewhat of a description. Seth, you've seen it yourself as well. We'll start with Seth since he's seen it, and then we'll go to you, Marv. So, Seth, I mean, thoughts on that? What do you?
It's trash. Yeah, you're right. I mean, it's you end up on national TV for looking like an asshole. So, yeah, it's probably a little alcohol involved as well. Stupid. Can't say though. For sure. We don't know the circumstances. He could have called his mom fat or something along those lines. So who knows?
Yeah. I don't know. Marv, your thoughts, but also like how much are you seeing this in even the young stuff? Because I hear parents everywhere are pretty atrocious as far as youth sports are concerned these days.
Oh, the younger they are, the crazier they are.
Yeah, it's mostly the moms. Ears closed. Like 9 and 10-year-old baseball moms are absolutely crazy because they're all convinced that their kid's going to go to the show. I'm at a lot of youth baseball games. I've yet to see a scout there. But I'm all for being passionate, right? Like y'all been to games with me. Like I'm passionate, and I'll have a couple beers at a game, but I'm not going to fight anybody unless someone touch one of my kids or my wife or something like that. At that point, 100%. But if you're a grown man and you've had a little bit too much to drink and someone pops off at the mouth, that's just part of being at a ball game. No need for violence unless they, physically tried to harm someone in your family.
Yeah,
but I've yet to see a fight at a youth baseball game. There's definitely been a lot of chirping, but it's mostly at the umpires, which is crazy to me too, because most of these umpires we have out there are like high school kids that are just like trying to earn $20 an hour, and you've got some like woman just berating them because he called strike 3 on their little kid that was looking when he should have swung the bat, and he probably hadn't swung all weekend. That's the crazy stuff to me.
Hey, listen here. Artie says, "How dare you fools? My kid's going pro. The scouts are here for his T-ball game right now." So
yeah, that's good for you, Artie.
Oh man, yeah. That stuff is. You see it in baseball. I got my kid in hockey. You see all and hear all the stuff. It's kind of crazy. So yeah, and I agree with you. When these are young kids trying to get themselves better by calling a game, like, don't scare them away. That's why you get charged more as a parent for paying for officials, because it's harder to find them. So you're already charging yourself more money. And then you got a less talented pool to pull from later in life when your kid's 17 and those scouts are there. And it really matters that the call gets correct. So yeah, don't make it worse for these kids that are trying their best and literally learning along the way as they call games. So I don't know what to say on that aspect, but hopefully that's no one who's watching or listening to the show for that right now. Southern Miss does drop that last one. It looked like they could have been going for a clean sweep there. Number 22 would have helped them out with that ranking and possibly improving. I don't know if you'd say you necessarily drop with one loss after already clinching the series. I don't know. What do you guys put weight in that type?
They lost the midweek too, though.
That's true. No, they beat the Cowboys, the UTRGV guys.
Who lost to McNeese? That was a case. Never mind.
Yep.
Stock in every conference game matters. I think Coach Kermit Smith was on the beginning of the year, and he was talking about looking back at the season App had last year, and he was like, man, if we could have took one of those when we got swept, or we could have this weekend, you look back at the end of the year, you look back at what could have made you a regional, what not, and you're like, wow, if we could have won that one game there and that one game there. I think every conference game matters. So a 2-1 goes a long way, but you still lost. So a sweep is looking at a sweep over the weekend. I mean, that's a lot to pat yourself on the back over.
That's a good point.
And obviously, we talked about how good the conference is. Like, every conference games matters when you play in a conference like this.
Yeah, you take the win, the easy, quote unquote, easy wins. But I don't think there are easy wins. The Marshall series is what really kind of surprised me quite a bit.
Yeah,
that was back and forth. I mean, you look at it, Arkansas State wins the first game 11-1. Then Marshall comes back, and what was the score on Saturday? It was like 12-2 or something like that. And then Arkansas State comes back 9-1. I mean, they were or 12-2. Yeah, they were they were butt kickings either way. They didn't have any close games.
Yeah, that's kind of the surprising thing. You see that first one, and you're like, okay, something happened funky Friday night. Now Marshall's on their rhythm on Saturday, 12-2, like you said, Marv. Oh, they'll definitely, come in here and take this last game to win the series.
We had 3 sweeps, right?
3 sweeps, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think South Alabama's what we I don't think they're going to be marching their way to AAA anytime soon. But I think if we're talking about one big picture, I think Marshall might be that team. I'm gonna get past this past weekend. I still riding with Marshall a little bit, but let's see what App's got. Let's be a little optimistic about that and see what they got.
Georgia Southern this next weekend. So I mean,
don't write Lafayette off yet. Don't write the Cajuns yet. But
no, I'm not.
Let's get one more weekend of conference in and see where we're at.
Yeah, Marshall's got James Madison next weekend.
They're riding high in Atlanta for a good reason too. So good for them.
Yeah, that's one thing I didn't actually have prepped, since we had a little bit less time than typical to put up all the midweek and weekend matchups, just to kind of have a look at that. Maybe we could do that as a one-off thing.
So they got ODU. Georgia State's got ODU. So we talked about earlier. Beat West Georgia.
Who's Marshall got next week? Anybody got that in front of them?
You said JMU, right?
JMU, yeah.
I know App goes to
Georgia Southern.
Georgia Southern.
Yeah. So It's a big one, and I think just kind of looking ahead, if I'm not mistaken, Coastal has Troy next week.
Wow.
Coastal does have Troy, so ranked on
We'll have to
ranked.
pick that series.
If they stay both ranked.
And not only that, I don't know if this schedule is correct, but it looks like they have a 4-game series at Troy. No, that can't be right. That can't be right now. It's
not be correct.
You go. I'm on the conference website. I put zero faith in that sometimes, but Coastal goes to Troy and then Clemson.
Wow.
Yeah, you know what? You're right. The conference website is showing 4-game series for some reason.
It's showing 2 on Sunday.
Yeah, what I'm sure they flexed one and didn't delete one of the 2, or maybe they're gonna
that's a big series in the second weekend. That's hey, who wants to claim? I mean, in my opinion, the winner of that series is the number 1 team in the conference at that point.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. I mean, maybe not in the standings exactly. Definitely that. Reiterate this. Artie Cat says Troy drew Kentucky for basketball tournament. We will be having a basketball specific show tomorrow. We'll also be throwing out if Arkansas State makes the NIT announcement here in about half an hour, where we're at live. So we won't be doing that on the air. But if they make the NIT, we'll also be talking about their matchup, but we'll be definitely heavily focused and featuring Troy as the Troy boys. At least Joe from the Troy boys will be on with us, myself and Zach. So we should have some fun with that. We'll look over the Kentucky matchup for sure, because that's obviously the first one, and we'll see maybe what it could look like if they moved on from there. We did that last year with JMU. It was a good time, so we'll definitely be doing that from the Troy aspect this year. I had my fingers crossed, fellas. I was like, man, Troy in Raleigh, that'd be awesome. I could go over there and see that, all right, here's the thing. Should UNC and Texas have made it, just to get off topic on the basketball aspect?
UNC did make it.
They did. Yeah, they're in the play-in game against San Diego State, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
But should they have made it? Did you hear the argument against them versus Indiana if you put those two head-to-head? Indiana was 4-13 versus quad 1 opponents with no quad 3 or quad 4 losses. UNC had 1 quad 1 win and 1 or more quad 3 losses. So when you make those arguments, and guess who's AD was on the board for the committee?
Was it Bubba?
UNC's.
Well, funny
interesting. Guess who else was on that committee and actually spoke and defended the UNC selection? None other than Sunbelt Commissioner Keith Gill. Really? So a little bit of an interesting aspect on that. I did see someone allude to the fact that Keith Gill just fought for UNC harder than he's fought for any Sunbelt team to belong in any postseason tournament. So, yikes. I don't know if I necessarily agree with that. I'd have to go back and watch and listen to compare two things together. But that was someone's opinion. So we'll see. But overall, I'm a Keith Gill fan. I wish some things would be done differently, but I'm not sure if I'd put it all on him or, other decisions or decision makers within the conference at some of that aspect. But I don't know.
I think we should. We definitely need to get back to the power rankings this week.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then we need to. I definitely want to pick the Troy Coastal series this coming week as well. So.
Oh yeah, that one will be on the board for sure. I don't think we didn't have Troy. Well, we had Troy on this past week. Oh, we had Coastal and Troy. Oh, I don't like to go 2 in a row, but you know what? For that one, we'll have to make an exception because you can't have it.
That's by far the biggest series of the weekend.
Something to vote on at the next board meeting. These 8:00 starts, I could definitely get down with every week.
The 8:00 start is phenomenal.
Yeah.
8:00 starts on a Sunday. Yeah, I can do that. 8:00 starts during the week are a lot harder because that's bath and bedtime for the little one. So I don't like to miss that all the time.
Does your wife not do anything?
I'll let you tell her that.
No.
Text her and see how that.
No.
Oh, the stream just got cut. I don't know what happened. I think the internet got hit with the axe. No, she did great. I tried to prep a little bit. I helped him out with the shower aspect beforehand. So, but yeah, I mean, this is the extra inning that we've kind of talked about. I don't know if there's anything else left to talk about or hit before we jump off here, or what, guys?
No, I think those two random. We're not shocked by Coastal, but I think with App sweeping and Georgia State sweeping, two teams that we're not really used to. I mean, I think it gives us a little bit of extra juice and a little extra excitement going into at least next week to see what happens.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think it's like we said, maybe that we're looking for a fourth team to really step up and solidify themselves as like a real true tried and true contender here. And
let's all pick one real fast.
Going pick. Oh, you're talking about series?
No, let's who
No. Who's number 4?
We've got to take a
Troy
team right now. Go ahead, Dom.
Well, I was going to Troy, Coastal, Southern Miss, all ranked, all kind of clear, top of the conference, at least inside, outside, whatever. I'm just talking about the 3 that you'd probably pick to go on to postseason play at this point.
Is this a non-binding pick just based off of what you've seen so far?
Yeah, right now, just who are you thinking?
Georgia State.
My problem with picking anybody is like I don't know if I'm knowledgeable enough with the pitching, and I feel like that's where I got the question mark. We have a lot of hitters parks. We have a lot of good hitters in this league. I gotta be sure I'm picking the team that I feel strongest in the pitching in right now, and that's where my question mark is. That's the only thing. Artie's agreeing with you. Georgia State. That's who he's taking right now.
Well, Georgia, just for comparison. Well, okay, so real quick stat check.
Yeah.
Georgia State's got the 3rd highest batting average in the league. Got the 3rd lowest ERA.
Wow.
So their pitching is I guess when you're hitting the ball like that, you don't have to pitch that phenomenal, but as you get deeper into conference, you're gonna have to be able to pitch.
Now, where's their strength of schedule?
I don't know. It doesn't give me that.
Okay. Because
their ERA is 6.2. Their ERA is at 6.21, but they are hitting 299 for the season, and they by far lead the league in home runs. They've hit 29 home runs.
Wow.
Yeah. Next closest is 21.
Is that App?
No. It's Troy.
Okay, yeah.
Troy and Southern Miss have hit 21. Georgia Southern's hit 20. Marshall at 19 and App at 18.
App slowed down a little bit. I thought they were up there towards the top, but yeah.
Trey didn't play today, so there you go.
Oh, yeah, there you go. I would say, I guess right now I got to lean with what you've just said, Marv. I guess I'm leaning Georgia State as well. Until proven otherwise with that record, what it is, even if they haven't played the strongest competition, I guess I even said it myself earlier, they're doing what they're supposed to do. They're winning the games, and that's the most important part right now. So I guess I'd side with Georgia State as much as I would not have thought that coming in.
You're not wrong. No.
You going them too, Seth?
I thought we were all taking an individual team, but Marv's stat line right there makes you it's hard to go against Georgia State. Until, like you said, Dom, until proven otherwise.
Yeah, and we'll see because their schedule is going to get harder, but
hell, before too long, we could be talking about them being one of them top 3 teams.
Could be. I really thought it was going to be. I thought the only one that's surprising me that's not up there right now is the Cajuns. I really thought that they just routinely find themselves there, and it doesn't look like that's going to happen in the early part of the season. We'll see if they can start figuring it out and come on strong, kind of like they did last year, right? They were a team that got into the tournament because of their play in the Sun Belt Conference tournament. So I don't know, but yeah, I mean, Georgia State, who knows? We'll see. We'll keep an eye on the Panthers as we go along, but any last notes?
That's all I got, buddy.
Good to be back.
Yeah, I'm glad we got us all on here again.
Yeah.
All right. Well, for those of you who are going to be filling out a bracket, tune in tomorrow night. We'll give you some information that could help, at least specifically in the Kentucky-Troy game, and we'll see you guys next time.